What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be going through the memorable scene, Super Sugo-Fest, otherwise known as the New Year's Sugo-Fest. And we're going to be breaking down which of these parts overall are the best. So shout out to my man Godot for creating the infographic. Really cool here that we can see that there is a little bit of a key here saying that these characters in the top two rows are the super limited pool, and then the limited pool is going to be the top 15 characters of each of these pools. Makes it a little bit easier to determine which characters are available in which part, okay? And obviously part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 starts on the 27th of December, part 2 on the 29th, and then part 3 on the 31st. So make sure you got that marked down so you know when that's all happening. I will be live streaming part 1 tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully we get some really good luck. Personally speaking, just on a personal level, for those of you who actually care, I am only missing the 2 new characters in this entire Sugo-Fest. I have every single other character, so it's going to be a bit of a hard one for me, only looking to get Whitebeard Roger as well as the new Straw Hat characters, but also the new rare recruits, you know, with Shanks Buggy and Rayleigh Gaban. We'll really hope I want to get those units too, but without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into this. Let's start into part 1. Part 1 obviously is going to be starting tomorrow, the 27th of December. Now, as for the characters here, obviously the 2 new characters are going to be available. Now, there are 30 legends available in each part of the Sugo-Fest. It's a 15% chance to get a red poster on any given poster in the Sugo-Fest, meaning just by averages, both of these characters should have the same rate as every single other character in the Sugo-Fest. Now, considering how bad the steps are for the Sugo-Fest, I hope that's the case. If that is the case, it makes the Sugo-Fest for part 1 just a little bit better. The thing about part 1 as well that you have to keep in mind is that none of these new legends, being Straw Hats or Roger Whitebeard, are guaranteed. They're not guaranteed at all on part 1. So you can do literally 25, 30 multis and not get any of them. So that's the risk you take with pulling on part 1. But I guess part 1 is for those players out there that are missing a large majority of the characters here, and you get a really good opportunity to pull some of the ones that you're missing. So let's start things off. Roger Whitebeard and the Straw Hats, obviously amazing characters. The 2 new super classes with Doflamingo and Katakuri, obviously both of them are amazing. Ulti in page 1 is fantastic. Reiju is not as required. Zoro is a little lame, definitely not the best Dex captain out there, but still a really good captain ability. Shirahoshi Manchiri V2, one of my favorite legends in the entire game. One of the best legends that have released in this year, honestly. Such a good unit to have. Not a good captain, but very useful sub. Sweet Commanders are okay. Hawkins is outdated. Luffy Sanji are fine. Ace Akainu, obviously amazing. King and Queen are both together on part 1. That's amazing. And then Whitebeard versus Shanks, obviously one of the other best legends to have released this year. As for the other characters, though, Halloween Shanks, not really that good. I'm a big fan of Germa 66, so it's awesome that they're here. Super type Sabo, little outdated as well. V3 Rayleigh's okay. Komurasaki's fine, especially after Super Evolution. V1 Kaido, if you're a new player, V1 Kaido is amazing to have. Bullet's good. V2 Big Mom's fine. Cracker's okay. Carrot's good with the Super Evolution. Zeph is bad. Shiki's bad. V2 Aokiji's pretty bad. NL's bad, and Inuashi's bad. So the bottom 5 are not that good, but a lot of the characters in these other ones, the top 25 units here, are actually pretty decent still, especially if you're missing a large majority of them. But remember, just due to the fact that none of the 2 new legends, which are arguably 2 of the best legends in the game, are not going to be guaranteed on part 1, that's the risk that you take. Now look, if you do go to the limited step on part 1, which is going to be the 8th multi, the 8th multi, you're guaranteed to get one of the top 15 units in this little pool here, which is good, because if you don't have any of these units, yeah, that's obviously going to be awesome. I guess the only bad ones to pull are probably Hawkins, Sweet Commander, maybe Zoro, maybe Reiju. The rest of them are all god tier units. And then you can go to the super limited pool on 12, 15, 20, and 25, which guarantees you one of the top 10 units. Now obviously still a couple of bad units in this pool, but generally speaking, there's a lot of really good units here. So far, this is a really good part of the Sugo-Fest, but I think it's hard to determine how good this part is if we haven't had a look at the other 2 parts. So let's go ahead and do that. So remember, part 2 and 3 of the Sugo-Fest are slightly different in the fact that you're guaranteed to get Roger and Whitebeard on part 2, and the Straw Hats are on part 3, as well as the super limited pool. There's only 2 of those steps on 15 and 20, and the limited pool is now stretched out to the 10th multi. So a little bit different in terms of structure, but let's jump over to part 2. So we've got Luffy Sanji along with the Whitebeard and Roger, V2 Shirahoshi Manchiri, a lot of characters are returning. Zoro and V3 Blackbeard, okay, these 3 here, not that exciting. Bonnie's okay, Doflamingo makes his return, but then the other Super Sugo-Fest characters are going to be appearing in part 2. So this is something that you have to keep in mind, is that the only Super Sugo units on part 1 are the 2 new ones. The other ones with Final Tap Kid, Final Tap Luffy, and as well as Yamato, those 3 are all available on part 2, and I think that alone, you shouldn't be pulling on part 1. Like, honestly, if you're missing these Super Sugo-Fest characters, you should be pulling for them, because remember, the only chance you get to pull those units are on Super Sugo-Fest. This is a Super Sugo-Fest. The next Super Sugo-Fest that is probably going to release, I'm not really too sure. I mean, maybe March, maybe end of February. I doubt it, though. The next one that we can definitely chalk in, though, is going to be May 12th, 2022 is the anniversary Sugo-Fest. There's definitely going to be a Super Sugo-Fest then. But do you really want to wait another 5 months to get an opportunity to pull some of these units? I don't think you want to do that. So I think, in my opinion, you should just be scrapping part 1. Definitely go to part 2 if you're missing those Super Sugo units. That's at least my opinion anyways. But you also got Shanks' crew, you got the Sweet Commanders, Halloween Law's great, Ace vs. Kainu, King, V2 Shirahoshi, Vivi Rebecca, should I say. Komurasaki, V1 Kaido is on this part as well. Cat Dog, Big Mom, Zoro, Cracker, oh my god. There's a lot of bad ones in here. There's a lot of bad ones right down the bottom here, which is kind of bad. But you have the Final Tap units, which I think that alone kind of carries this part. The fact you've got the brand new Big Daddy, Roger Whitebeard, and then these other 3 Final Tap units. I mean, Luffy isn't as exciting. He's pretty bland. But Kid is super good, and obviously Yamato is one of the best legends in the game. This alone, I think, carries this part. But I mean, just if you look outside of the Final Tap characters, what do you got access to? Shiroshi and Mancherry, one of the best subs that have released in the game's history. You've got Sweet Commanders, which is a good mono-strength captain. Shanks' crew is still a really good captain. Hybrids well with Roger Whitebeard. You could just use him for basically anything. Great captain ability, great switch ability, good usability as a sub. Halloween Law for building mono-int teams, along with Bonnie as well. You've got Yamato for int as well. Ace versus Akainu, one of the most dynamic legends to have released in 2021. King is really good for quick and powerhouse related teams. And you got V1 Kaido, really good for beginner players, helps getting through content very, very easily. Carrot's new Super Evolution is really strong. I mean, there's lots of things to like here. I think it really comes down to which characters you're missing. Obviously, if you're missing the most characters here on part 2, definitely pull here. Superclass Doflamingo, which we didn't even touch up on, obviously a really powerful unit to have. Getting access to Driven Superclass is going to be really nice moving forward with a great captain ability that can resist Special Bind. Love to see that. But yeah, part 2 looking really good. And let's finish it off with part 3 of the Sugo-Fest, which is debuting on the 31st of December. You got the brand new Luffy crew, of course. We got Whitebeard vs. Shanks. We got Reiju. Ooh, we got CP0 Lucci up in this. Okay, Ulti page 1. Halloween Perona is interesting. Superclass Katakuri. And then here's the Final Tap characters. You've got Law, V1 Goldie Roger, as well as Yamato reappearing here on part 3. I mean, just looking at that, I mean, Law, really good hybrid captains for Dex teams, Cerebral teams, Slasher teams. Hybrids really well with the Roger Whitebeard too, but also getting access to even just V1 Roger. Remember, V1 Roger is a Slasher character, can hybrid well with the other characters of Roger Whitebeard, because you're using a dual unit that includes Whitebeard that automatically will proc the super type of this Roger. That's already going to be amazing. And Yamato, I mean, we already know how good Yamato is, and I didn't even touch up on that Yamato is also a striker captain both in 6-star and 6-star plus. So you can go ahead and use that in hybrid with the brand new Roger Whitebeard as well, just in case if you guys are wondering. But I mean, look, it really comes down to what you're missing, and the fact Yamato is actually boosted on 2 of the 3 parts of the Sugo-Fest is good, because a lot of people want to get 2 copies of Yamato to have the 6-star form and the 6-star plus form, and you can do that pretty easily here. The fact that she's going to be boosted on 2 of the 3 parts, that's actually really good. But I think that it really comes down to what you're missing. Do you miss these 3 characters here, or do you miss these 3 characters here? Or which ones do you like the most? And the thing is, right, is that if you already have Roger and Whitebeard, do you really need V1 Roger at that point? I mean, V1 Roger is a bit different. He works a bit differently, obviously, because he is a rainbow captain. His super type special is freaking phenomenal, and a 3x attack booster upon activation. Like, this unit is still like one of the best units in the game. Like, this is still a top 3 best legend in the game. Don't get that wrong. And he's over a year old now at this point. he's still amazing. Law, I think, is still another phenomenal unit. It's really hard to say, but it really comes down to how many you're missing, of course. But let's have a look and see what else is here. Hawkins, Smoker, Halloween Mihawk's pretty good still. Super Type Kaido, I'm a big fan of, he's great. And then also Queen, which is one of the best legends to have released this year as well. But looking back down at the bottom 15 units, remember those top 15 units are all limited pool characters, and the top 10 were the super limited, so keep that in mind. Now, looking at the bottom 15, we've got Dex Sabo, who recently got his Super Evolution, makes him a little bit more usable. Halloween Shanks is a little bit bad, hopefully he gets a 6+ in 2022. Germa's great, Boa's great, Sabo's fine, Rayleigh's fine, Arlong's fine as a sub, Onami with a 6+ is usable, Bullet's obviously good. V1 Shirahoshi Mancherry is okay, I definitely prefer V2, but V1 is still alright. You've got Sabo Koala, Sanji Judge, and then you got Zephyr. I mean, Frankie's an interesting one. Hey, yo. Frankie is an interesting one. For those of you who don't know, Frankie has seen a lot of play in the community over the last, like, month or so, just due to the fact that people have discovered that Frankie's super, or Captain Action effect, where he turns into General Frankie, can bypass the damage limiter, you know, on like Arena Caesar or an Arena Crocodile with that Robin stage where you can only do a certain amount of damage per turn. If you activate the Captain Action of Frankie to become Frankie Shogun, he just bypasses it with his normal attacks. It's very unique, and people have been able to hybrid Frankie with characters like Toki or Carrot. People have been using him in really weird and wacky ways, and I think that this is a character that might be kind of slept on, because he can just beat all this content that you would typically have to take your time on and really build your team around the fact that you have to take multiple turns on a fight, but Frankie can just kill it in one turn, which makes it a bit different. So Frankie is a bit of an odd choice for sure, and then Dogstorm just to round out the rest of the pool. So taking a glance at all three of these Sugo-Fest parts, I think that if you are an intelligent player, you would be probably avoiding part 1 of the Sugo-Fest. I think the only reason you guys should be pulling on part 1 of the Sugo-Fest, if you're missing a large majority of the pool, especially the top 15 to 10 characters. If you're missing a large majority of those characters, I think part 1 is actually relatively reasonable. But if you're looking at, you know, you really want to go super hard for like either Roger or Whitebeard or the Straw Hats crews, I might make a separate discussion video talking about each of these two characters, because a lot of people have already asked me in multiple different avenues as which one's the best new character, which one should I be pulling for, Roger, or should I pull for Straw Hats? They're both amazing. Just to kind of sum that up, they're both actually amazing. I don't think there's a bad choice. I think both of them are going to be incredible characters moving forward into the future that will take a long time to be kind of power crept. So I don't really think there's a bad choice in that regard. I think it really comes down to the surrounding characters. Which ones are you missing the most of? I know a lot of people have their favorites. A lot of people love Luffy and the Straw Hats, and they're going to go for them regardless. I know myself, I'm more of a fan of Roger and Whitebeard, but I do respect the fact that Straw Hats are one of the best legends to have ever released in this game's history. I think it really comes down to what you're missing and go for that. If you're looking at the other Super Sugo-Fest exclusives here, both have Yamato, so you can check those boxes, but then you got Roger and Law versus Luffy and Kid. Now, I think we can both pretty much, you know, agree to the fact that Roger is the best of those two and that Kid's the best of these two, so it's pretty balanced. I think they've done a really good job at making sure that these pools are balanced amongst all the parts, but you got other characters that surround that. Ulti Page 1 here, you've got Superclass Doflamingo here, Shanks crew here, V1 Kaido here, but then you got Queen, you got Kaido, you got Germa, you've got Perona, like Whitebeard vs Shanks. It comes down to what you're missing. I think there is no bad option no matter what you go for, but I think look at the Super Sugo-Fest exclusives first, see what you're missing and go with that, whether it be, you know, you want to go for Roger and Law, you want to go for Luffy and Kid, or you want to go for Roger Whitebeard, or, you know, the Straw Hat Pirates. Go for what you're missing the most of, because both of these brand new units are absolutely incredible. So with all that being said, that is going to wrap up this video today. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.